Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm back from vacation, and I might be a little more tan, if you will. I don't know. Definitely got a wrinkled shirt on today, but I threw that on because I wanted to wear the cooperative shirt. This is my incognito one that says cooperative, but it's black on green, so it's hard to see. Today I want to talk about what's a fact and what's an opinion. And so I think from watching my own videos, like the comment section and other people's, I think as a society we have moved away from knowing what it is. Like, when's the last time I read the definition? What do we use this when we actually think about things? I know lately I've caught a ton of flack for recommending a Senegal biter in a 29 gallon, for instance, and that's my opinion. And there's a bunch of people who say, you shouldn't be giving out facts like that. You shouldn't, how dare you? I'm not going to buy from you anymore. How could you use your position at 200 and some thousand subscribers and give give that misinformation? And, my opinion, it's like, well, it's not misinformation if it's my opinion. Like, if my opinion is I can keep a Senegal biter in a 29 gallon aquarium, that, like, you could say it's a fact that I made that statement. That's true. But I never said it's a fact. And so I want to read the definitions of what what these words actually mean and how they're meant to be, like, interpreted. Yeah, that's the right word. Because without reading it, sometimes we forget. So a fact, all right, is a thing that is indisputably the case, right? So that means there's no room for disputing, okay? So let's just think about that. So I say Senegal biter can live in a 29 gallon aquarium. Other people say, no, it can't. Other people say, yes, it can. So then people go, well, monster fish keepers, the people that keep this ancient fish, say it can't be. And if you hang out in that community, you would know. And my response is, well, I used to be very active in that community, actually. You can find me there in the forum pretty easily because I was there for many years. And then I linked forum conversations that I wasn't in, but of their own forum of that group, that they state, yeah, 29 gallons and up is a starting point for a Senegal biter, we feel as well. Not everyone, but the fact that, let's say there's 100 threads with that very question, and let's say 20 of them say that answer. What about Petco or PetSmart? And they recommend, well, 29 gallons bare minimum, maybe 55. And then there's, I found threads where they said 7-foot tank minimum, 24 inches front to back would be the minimum for a biter as well. Then there were people that clearly had no idea that there's so many different types of biters, and not all of them get 3 to 4 feet, and some get much smaller and things like that. So, I would say right there, we can kind of prove that that statement isn't a fact, right? A thing that is indisputably the case, right? So, I realize that in a crazy, like, seventh dimension, you could argue anything. Like, if I was to say, this bottle of Easy Green is in my hand, someone could be like, well, we can't actually know that's a fact. What if it's CGI'd in there? What if there's green screen going on? Like, there's always going to be the ultra corner case that nothing has ever been a fact in this world ever, right? But taking the common definition, which I'm reading from, dictionary.com, which, you could even make a case that, like, well, even their stuff's not factual. But if, some of the further definition of that is like what society agrees is a common, undisputable fact, or a case, if you will. Because you can't use the definition of a word. You can't use the word in the definition. That doesn't make any sense. So you can't say, like, well, it's a fact of a fact. And then we have an opinion, right? Which is, I've always, if you guys have been around for a long time, that's like my catchphrase, in my opinion, because I know that I don't have facts. I don't know that I have a fact on anything when it comes to fish keeping. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But an opinion, a view or judgment formed about something, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. So it even, in the definition of it, even says it might not even be based on facts or even knowledge. It's just an opinion, right? Okay. So when we watch a video like my biter care guide, right? And I've addressed this before on how I don't want my care guides to be me regurgitating what other people have written. So part of that comes from, I don't believe that most people have done research to form facts, right? So that's what I personally, if you go, what's your opinion, Corey? What's your opinion on a fact? I think a fact comes from when research is done. And by research, I mean we've looked at something objectively, we've taken notes, we've run some experiments, and we've come to a conclusion that is logical, right? And so I know most books even are written by, oh, I'm a good writer, I can reread this and I can spin it and make it look like I know what I'm talking about. Now, we do this all the time in our daily lives. We do it with fish keeping. We do it by, oh, I've kept this fish, and this fish looks similar. I bet they're the same. And then we can talk kind of out of our butt about it, right? I try to base everything I pass along to you guys as my own personal experience. So when people chime in and go, I've had a Senegal bite that's been 700 feet. I've had one that's 24 inches. I have one that's 12 inches right now. I have one that's 6. I have one that's 12. Like, that's all great, except I'm only trying to present what I've experienced. And like my experience with the bichers comes from keeping them in a store, keeping them in my personal collection, helping probably my legitimate guess is somewhere between 100 and 300 people keep Senegal bichers in aquariums in their homes. Now you could say like, well, I've done thousands and I've done this, but I mean in meaningful ways where they actually ask questions, I offer insight, I get feedback and hear how did that go? Did these tank mates work out? All that kind of stuff. And so that is all based on my experience and my opinion, but I haven't documented, I haven't run tests and things like that to form more than opinion, to make it into a fact. So like one of the things I was going to do for this stream is encourage everyone to go look, like type in Senegal bicher measurement and just see, like you can only find like 3 pictures even on the internet of someone measuring the length of the bicher, right? Of a Senegal bicher. And so how do we know that the average or even the maximum size of a fish is true, right? So if we take other fish we know about, common pleco, we take pacu, and we know that, let's say a pacu can get in excess of 4 feet in the wild and maybe some public aquariums, but I don't think I've ever seen a specimen above maybe 30, 32 inches in captivity in a home aquarium. So then when you're trying to establish a fact of what size does it grow, which number is correct, right? So it becomes kind of opinion based. Well, you know, I think a 3,000 gallon aquarium would be fine to house some pacu at home. The reality is not that many people have done 3,000 gallon aquariums with pacu, so the sample size is very limited. So it's mostly an opinion, right? Kind of, I feel the same way about common plecos, even though hundreds of thousands of them are sold probably every year. I don't know that number. I don't have that fact. But a lot of them are sold. So very few of them are kept with the end goal in mind. Like, oh, I wonder how big I could get this thing to get. Or, oh, I can afford a 20,000 gallon aquarium or a 500 gallon aquarium or whatever it is. Most of our experience or opinion is based on what we've seen. And so if I've seen 1,000 common plecos kept in 55 gallon to 100 gallon aquariums, my truth or my fact becomes balanced on that because that's what I've experienced. And I think, you know, we are confusing what facts and opinions are when we're talking to other people. And it's very easy for people to misconstrue it. The more you trust someone's opinion, so let me back that up. The more you trust someone's opinion, the more likely what you hear is a fact. And this happens all around the world. People that are in politics, like the president or leaders of countries, what they say becomes more of fact than of opinion. Let's say you were very, very ill, right? And you go to the doctor and you pay a bunch of money and you fly to, let's say, Switzerland, and you see the best specialists in the world about the disease you have. What comes out of their mouth is mostly fact to you because you've got so much invested and you trust them so much. What they're saying becomes fact. And in reality, it's just their opinion. Because if we had the absolute fact, we wouldn't need to go to someone who we perceive to know more, right? If it was disease A takes treatment C, we would just do that. That's a known fact, right? We don't need the opinion, but we turn that opinion into a fact because usually we want it to be. And so we make judgments on what people say based on whether they align with what we think or if they don't align with what we think. And so one of the big questions we were kind of talking about earlier before the show went live here was, why is it that in most discussions there needs to be kind of a right and a wrong? You know, I'm right, you're wrong. Why would you do that? How could you be so wrong? And the reality is, I always fight back with, can you please show me why you are correct and I am wrong then? Like, is there a study? Has there ever been a study done on Senegal bichers to show appropriate tank size? I've never read one. If there's one out there, great. I'll be the first to go, please send that to me. I will read it, and then I will maybe change my opinion. It won't necessarily change a fact, you know, but I think it's very important. So I want to chime in with Gene says, let's talk about fish. This is boring. I think this is the most important thing you could possibly talk about when it comes to fish. You know, talking about fish without understanding the intention and the meaning behind it, I think is useless. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about tonight was the need for people to fail. Like, we need people to enjoy the hobby. They have to fail. And what I mean by that is, I answer hundreds of emails every day, week, month, whatever you want to, you know, lots and lots of emails. And there are so many people that are paralyzed by fear. So they're so afraid of making a mistake that they actually don't experience it. And so they want insight from someone, maybe forums, maybe YouTube videos, and they're afraid of making the mistake, when in reality, the mistake is what needs to happen. So if we take it outside of fish keeping and we go towards, let's say, baking, right? Now, if I make a batch of cookies and I screw them up and they're all burnt, I learn from that, right? If we buy some plants and we plant them and they all die, I should learn from that. But for some reason, we're so afraid to fail at it that we don't actually get the experience. And so what happens is, let's say I make one batch of cookies and it comes out really good. In the aquarium hobby, all of a sudden, I'm a plant master. I'm a baking master now. When reality is maybe just a little bit of luck. I've got a lot more to learn. That doesn't mean I can make other types of cookies. Doesn't mean I can keep other types of plants. Doesn't mean that I could keep them going long term. Doesn't mean I could replicate it. And I think we need to foster a community that lets people learn. You know, it's almost like children. You have to let them fall off the bike so that they know, like, wow, I should be trying not to fall off the bike. That hurts, right? You have to have the experience. And I think that's what experience is, what leads to form an opinion. And people are trying to circumvent the experience part and only get the opinion at the other side to jump ahead. And we can jump ahead in these things, you know, like I could be like, great, I can make the best cookies ever because I found a secret recipe and it works every time. But that doesn't mean that I can just go, oh, look, I stepped over here and I can make a cake now, right? And that's the same thing. You might be able to get all the research in the world and be successful with this fish. Then you go buy another fish and it's really hard, right? And so I think that's where we need experience, and people that have been in the hobby for a long time, they know that's really valuable. I've experienced that. I've killed that. I've dealt with that illness. I've seen what's gone wrong. You know, why wouldn't you always just buy fish online? I can order them tomorrow. Like, well, it's really cold out, and maybe that's going to make it a little bit harder. Like, you might know, like, well, order discus and rams when it's really hot out because that's easier to ship than when it's really cold out. And you learn that from experience. So, you know, I know it's kind of a weird rant and that type of thing, but, you know, it's not necessarily fun to have everything you do judged, you know. And the problem is, no matter what you do when you're in the public light, people disagree. And it's because an opinion, or even a fact, not everyone agrees with opinions or facts. There's plenty of people that the earth is flat, right? You know, we have facts that say it's not, but we also have a portion of people that say it is, right? So even facts are being debated. And, you know, I would say one of the best examples that we can have as a fact in the fish community is within the last, it's probably 2 years now, because I've been saying this for like a year, there is heavy debates going on between scientists on whether we're using one bacteria or two bacteria to process ammonia into nitrates. Like, there are plenty of tests are going on and battling with people that are much smarter than I am. And there's enough doubt there that you could almost say it's not necessarily a fact. We have that happen all the time in the world where we think something has been true and then we find out it's not true. And with information comes more formed opinions. And by more formed opinions, we can kind of, oh, the whole world is forming this opinion. It starts to become a fact. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when we're analyzing people's videos, when we're analyzing people's work, and just self-reflecting on our own aquariums. I think one of the best things we could do is probably get away from watching what other people are doing and get into doing what we're doing, right? Like, I've talked about this before, aquascaping. The Nature Aquarium started out as, let's bring nature into our homes, go experience nature, bring it home, and replicate it at home and enjoy it. And it's totally morphed into, ooh, look, you made something cool, I want to copy that. That's what most people do. Now, there is a subset of people that actually go and enjoy nature, then they recreate it and they do that. But it's almost become more of an event of, I need to win an aquascaping competition, as opposed to, I need to enjoy this slice of nature in my living room in the middle of winter because I can't go out and do that, right? So it's one of those, I think we need to spend more time enjoying our own setups and less time evaluating how other people are doing their setup. And, you know, that's why I don't watch a lot of other people's videos, is mostly because I don't have time to enjoy my own aquariums, so I really don't have time to enjoy someone else's aquarium. That being said, when I do, I love to find new stuff. Like, I watched Fu the Flower Horn. A bunch of people were apparently shocked that I knew who he was, or I was even following it. Like, no, I think what he's doing is cool. He's doing some natural tanks, which is cool. I don't watch all the videos, but I was intrigued by the sweet potato video because I had never seen, to that point, I had never seen sweet potatoes used in an aquarium. And now, what I was fascinated by was the root structure. I think we could use that and really, really use it to, let's say, breed some guppies or some endlers or something like that. Like, the root structure was very dense, and I really liked that, and I thought it looked cool. Much more dense than pothos or anything like that. And so I want to play with it. I legitimately am excited. I want to go buy some sweet potatoes, put them in aquariums, and to see what happens. Like, I'm not doing it like I don't make any money, which that was another thing people were bringing up, is that, oh, you only did this care guide about bichers so you can sell more bichers. Like, we hardly ever sell any bichers, and if my motive is money, it's much easier for me to make a video about Easy Green that I can ship all across the country than a Senegal bicher that you could only physically go to my retail store and buy, right? But that, you know, being away and on vacation and stuff, and still talking to friends and creators and fans, like, I still answered emails. A lot of you guys, I would share stuff on the new stories thing, like, look what I'm checking out, I'm out in nature, look, I'm underwater here. Like, a lot of people would keep saying, like, quit working, enjoy your vacation. And that was probably the worst thing for me to hear, because that is me enjoying life. Like, I enjoy, so we were at this, like, what was it called? The Banana Farm Plantation restaurant thingy? And they had these ponds, and it was super fun for me to, like, get into these ponds where all these, like, super rich people are having lunch. Me sneaking in, getting my camera under the water, digging in this, like, mucky water and doing all that was very, very fun to me. That is enjoying vacation. And so you're doing it and you're having a bunch of fun. You're going, wow, look at that. There's, you know, not wild, but, you know, wild swordtails and gambusia, affinis, and crayfish and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of fun to want to just share that. Like, look what I did, guys. It was fun. That was cool. I didn't see that before. And then to get all the responses back, like, quit working, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, that's what's fun, though. So a lot of self-reflection went on, as it always does when I take some time off. And, you know, yeah. What else did I want to talk about? I wanted to address affiliates. So The Aquarium Co-Op is a business. You guys know that. We came on to YouTube because we were a business. It is how we promote our business, right? And I've always been transparent that I'm here to make money. I'm here as a hobbyist also. I think I can be both. I think I can keep aquariums because I want to keep aquariums, and I think I can educate you guys, and then as a byproduct sell you things, right? And so I think I can do that fairly well. That being said, I'm sure there's people that think I don't do it well, or that I'm only a sales pitch or whatnot. And I watch myself get a lot of flack for it, and a lot of the affiliates we have get flack for it. Now, it's a catch-22. Everyone, well, not everyone. A lot of people want to they want to know when a product is good or bad, right? So we already established before, people want to jump ahead and go like, oh, do these cookies taste good or not, right? Like they want to know the answers. But the minute someone's making money from the answer, the tune changes, right? And so, like Zenzo, we were talking earlier, he made a video about the Zis filter, right? And to be honest, I have not watched it yet. So preface that, I have not watched it yet. But he got a lot of flack saying he only made a video so that he could make money from it. Now, he does make some revenue. If you go and you click through his link and you buy one, he will make maybe $1, right? So he gets $1. So if he sells 100 of them, ooh, he made $100. It would be incredibly hard for him to sell 100 of these. That being said, YouTube gives us basically the ultimatum if we have to make videos every week, and because you guys want to watch it. And so if we are naturally excited about a product, like, oh man, I like this, I'm gonna put them in all my aquariums. Here's what I know as an influencer, as a business person, because I've done this in the past. If I get something and I show it to you guys on video, you get super angry if I won't sell it to you. You literally will get angry. So it's like if I bring in a rare fish and I just want to keep it, you're angry if I can't tell you where to get it, or if I won't breed it and sell it to you. And that happens all the time. And so let's say Zenzo wants to legitimately use some of these in his aquarium, and he's trying to thwart the where are you going to get it, why, all that. It makes sense. And so I don't think we should be discouraging people from sharing their opinions on products and then recouping some money. I do think we could discourage, like, it doesn't make sense for me to, you should go buy this $500 microphone I'm not using. Why? Because every one you buy on Amazon, I'll get $22 or whatever the rate is. Like, we should balk at that, right? That's purely a money grab. We all get that. But at the same time, we shouldn't say like, oh, do you have any recommendations on what microphone to buy? Like, should it be this $500 one, or should it be on the $800 one I'm talking about? And then if I'm going to spend time, let's say it takes me 3 hours to put 8 microphones together, test them out, rank them, and then I put some links there, and I can recoup some of that money that allows me to run the next test or the next thing. Like, I know that Zenzo's not getting insanely rich off of YouTube. He does it mostly because it's a passion. He's got a full-time job. He has kids. He has a wife. He has all that going on. But I do want to defend affiliates, not even my own affiliates. Any affiliate, if they're doing it correctly, it should be a win-win. Like, it doesn't cost the buyer any more money, and it's helping get more reviews, right? So like if we look back a month ago, the Zis filter pretty much didn't exist. I mean, it existed, right? But there was like 2 videos from the manufacturer that were lackluster, and a few people like in Canada and UK selling it, but it didn't really exist. Now, what is the incentive for people to make videos about it? One, if they get paid ad revenue, that's one incentive, right? The other one is if they sell some and get a little bit of revenue from it. And same thing, like the reality is, what's the incentive for me to bring in 1,000 of these instead of just bringing in 100? 100 covers my aquariums, right? The incentive is, in a perfect world, I sell some and I make some profit, and that pays for me to do a live stream in the middle of the week, right? So I realize it's a long-winded thing, but I feel like there's not enough people standing up for creators. And just I witness it a lot. Stepping back from it for 10 days, you really see the amount of, I guess, toll it takes on someone. I mean, I have to hear about my weight, the way I look, the way my wife looks, the way Jimmy is not white, the way, like, there's so many racist and bad things that, hundreds of comments a week based on that. Then there's things like, oh, maybe I made a recommendation that wasn't the best in the world, like, Biters in a 29-gallon tank. Didn't realize I was going to piss the entire internet off. But, somehow a Biter that's this big and this big around, and I say this big, it's like, well, I saw one that's this big one time. Sure, corner case, yep. Can live in, it's required people like, at least 100 gallons. Okay, well then, fancy goldfish, they can literally get this. Common wisdom says 20 gallons, even though it has 20 times the biomass. Like, I think that we're at a difference of opinion here. And, so I guess I'm just fighting for, I don't want to say the little guy, for everyone. I just, the goal is it works. That's the goal. The goal is no one's getting taken advantage of. And, in a perfect world, the best products will be developed tomorrow. We'll buy them and we'll all keep fish alive for the next 100 years. That's what the goal we're always moving towards. So, I think anything that helps us get there is a good thing. And, I don't want to say I'm only going to fight for that, but kind of the same thing. We've caught lots of flack for getting rid of the rewards program, and how dare you? I thought you were better than that. Why would you be such an idiot? I got in a fight, if you will, while I was in Maui with a customer who sent an email that they started out basically with like, you'd have to be joking. You sent me something with the USPS, the United States Postal Service. It's such a joke, right? And they were very combative, and all my employees were like, this guy's like being very difficult. So then on my vacation, I address them and I go, yep, we ship USPS. It's the fastest method of shipping at the price point people are willing to pay. And, unfortunately, you seem to be very against it. You should probably shop somewhere else. I refunded all of his money for the purchase and then said he should shop somewhere else. And then he fires back with, do you do this to all the people that don't agree with you? And I go, no, you would actually be the 7th person out of 70,000 orders at this point that has ever gotten that treatment. And I said, if you can be reasonable, we are reasonable as well. This is, and I laid out again, this is, meanwhile, I'm sitting beachside explaining why we've had talks with FedEx, DHL, UPS, and all these things, and that we track lost shipments, we track damage, we track all these things, and USPS is the best. Now, I realize it is the worst for him, and I said, maybe if you would address the question differently or something like that, you'd get a different response. I asked him, does this response work with most of the vendors you email like this? And he said, no. And I was like, well, and now we're on better terms, right? I basically explained my situation, but, starting out a conversation where we have to defend ourselves for doing what we think is right is a sore spot for any employee or anyone. Like, we're literally trying to do the best we can. And I genuinely believe the USPS is doing the best they can do. And right now, UPS is, everyone's slammed. Oh my gosh, I just lost my camera. Is it overheating? I don't know why my camera just got... Jimmy, I need you. Well, I'll just go with without video because this is going to podcast mode for now. I'm going to turn my camera off and let it cool down. It's probably because I left it in no, it's not in 4K mode. I have no idea why it overheated. It's only 80 degrees in here. But I believe everyone's trying to do a good job, and that's all we can do. The post office, everything is overwhelmed during the holidays. That's the reality, is everything is overwhelmed. And some people get really uppity when there's a 1 extra day delay. Some people don't, right? But the people that do, we try to reassure them, like, well, maybe we should order not during the peak shipping time of the year. So, I will say we're doing a bunch of testing with, I ordered 4 data loggers for temperature so we can try out the new 4-day heat packs. We want to ship them around to different hubs and test how hot and how cold they're getting in planes, out of planes, on the back I'm going to ask our USPS delivery person if they can drive around with it for a day, just so we get to see what the temperatures would be like on the back of a truck in Washington. Now that doesn't translate to what it would be like in the back of a truck in Florida and Tennessee and Ohio and all that, but it's one more step we can do. Now, we also developed an API, which that's basically a way to interact with our shipping software. So what happens currently now, we paid a bunch of money to what's called an SDE, a software development engineer. And what happens is when you place an order, it then looks at the forecast for the next 5 days of the zip code that you placed it from. Based on the temperature, it will then make recommendations and make a note on the account. So if it's really, really cold, it gets a styrofoam liner and a heat pack. If it's only kind of cold, like it's possibility it could possibly freeze, then it gets a heat pack. And if it wouldn't need either of those, then it gets neither. But all of that is being automated. And so now we need to send these data loggers around. So Candy Dragon said, Chris said, ship one to Wisconsin. I'll ship it right back in the name of science. Yes, we're definitely going to reach out and do that. We're going to ship these things. What I'm going to basically do is take a medium flat rate box, ship one to you, and maybe probably have like a present in there, and then have another heat pack and go, okay, great. Open the new heat pack, reseal it, and ship it back to me, right? And after that, we can download all the data, and we can compare it with the other data, and we can make much more, data-driven decisions. It might lead us towards facts, right? Because we're using data to get there, research. But we're investing in all that so that we can limit the amount of claims with any carrier, limit the amount of damage that, when I say damage, it's like damaged user experience. Like if you get a dead plant because they lost it, we look bad. USPS looks bad, but we look bad. Oh yeah, the plants arrived dead. Yeah, I had that happen once. Like, yeah. So we're just doing everything we can on our part to try and get through this. Tariffs are a big pain point currently, just because it's going to change the landscape of the way business is being done. We are getting rid of the rewards program, and there's people that are pretty sore about it. There's a bunch of people that could care less about it. The reality is, it comes down to, I can charge you 5% more and then give you 5% rewards, or we can just not do that, right? And so I think it's a better thing just to keep the price lower, and we don't have to provide all the customer service. Every single day there's people that will buy from us and not create an account. So what they do is they check out as a guest, and then they figure out we have a rewards program, and then they sign up for an account. And then they're super angry that it didn't automatically apply the points from before they had an account because they signed out as a guest. So then we go in and we naturally give them the points, and we're like, oh, sorry, our system doesn't do that. If you create an account the way it's supposed to be done, it would have been all automatic and that kind of stuff. But, it just leads to a lot more customer service. Let's see if this thing's good yet. I don't know. Oh, there we go. We're back. So hopefully it won't. Let me get this fan on it. Let's get this fan all hopped up and get this fan like right on it. So anyway, it's a very stressful time. If you can't see it, look at my hair. My hair is like, my camera's not even in the right position. Maybe I'm not in the right position. Maybe I gotta scoot back. I don't know what's going on. I'm a train wreck, but I don't get a haircut till Friday. It's been super stressful. We've been preparing as much as we possibly can so that everything moves smoothly. Like, this is always, if you've been with us for a few years, you know that December, wow, how can that overheat that fast? There's got to be a setting that's wrong. I don't know what to say other than sorry. But we're gearing up as much as we can. I can't explain why this thing's overheating. Like, even though it worked fine before I left, like, there's always something going wrong. But let's answer some questions. I know it's It's only 5:35. How does this camera fail in like 25 minutes? How is that even possible? Hold on, I got an idea. No, it's already, it is. It's set correctly. I can't explain it. Sorry, guys. I cannot explain why. We're cooling, yep. It doesn't even feel hot to the touch. What is going on here? Yeah, I cannot explain what's, maybe my $2,000 camera is about to catch on fire, so maybe it doesn't feel hot. But anyway, let's answer questions. We'll just take this podcast style. Let's see. All that super chat revenue should go to the air system for the studio. Yeah, apparently I can't. I literally have a fan blowing on. It doesn't even feel warm to the touch. What could I, I need Jimmy here. I need Jimmy, fix it, help. But yeah, that's a good point. Let's address some of the super chats and that kind of stuff. I'm here to have a good time, so. If I can pull up anything here. I'm lost, help. There we go. All right, so we had Gareth Bontorno became a new member. Thank you much. The army's getting bigger day by day. John G says, as a kid, I raised a pack from a little baby to 9 inches in 4 years. I feel bad to this day. It must be a pleco? Gotta be a pleco. Oh, a pacu. Sorry. That was all in a 10-gallon tank. Wow, yeah, that's, probably not optimal, but at the same time, maybe you didn't know better. I don't feel bad about that. I feel like I would encourage you not to feel bad, like you learned from it, right? You couldn't. So that was another point I want to make earlier is how do we know anything about fish? Someone before us learned that maybe the pacu gets huge and shouldn't be in a 10-gallon tank, right? And we share these experiences and our opinions, and we get closer and closer to the right, maybe truth or fact or whatever you want to call it. Like eventually, maybe we'll outlaw pacu, or maybe aquariums will be cheap enough we can have very large aquariums, or maybe they'll be more of a pond fish. Like we learn all this from being hobbyists and learning. Someone has to test it. Someone has to be the person that kills the fish and has the mishaps so that we can learn from each other. Someone has to get, dragged into the wilderness by the cheetah to go, hey, cheetahs eat people. Crazy. Okay, watch out for the cheetah, or the jaguar or whatever. Like, that's just the way stuff works, and so we can crowdsource it. But at the end of the day, I think we've leveraged so much into, I'll let someone else experiment and then I'll reap the rewards. We don't have enough people doing the experiments anymore. So I try to do as many as I can. MHow9, happy holidays. Great topic. Are you doing a stream on Xmas this year? Failure is some of the best teachers. Yes, we'll be live streaming. I think I'll do another 4-hour stream. Maybe I can even get my camera to work. Wouldn't that be a treat? Wow. Yeah, tell me how this camera worked fine on Thanksgiving for 4 hours, and I can't get through 20-some minutes. To be fair, it is really hot in here, but it only says 80 over there. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't even know where my remote is to switch. I give up. We'll let it cool, and then I'll do some dance moves at the end. Can I please do a Leroy Jenkins for my dog, Leroy Jenkins? I can indeed. That's a WoW reference for those of you that don't know. Lysis, I buy from you because you do this for us. Well, I always try to remain transparent. So part of it is definitely for the good of the hobby, but I think anyone's lying when they do something and it's not for them also. Like, even if I gave all my money to charity, there's still that portion of you that's like, well, it made me feel good. Like, there's always some guilt there. But I do believe there is a very good path to walk down, and that is, I make money, you guys get the products you already wanted to buy. It's kind of like someone cooking you food. If they make you a really good meal and it didn't cost very much, you're likely to repeat it, right? Especially if they can make you a meal that you can't make. Kind of the same thing. If I can run a test, or I can offer an opinion or my experience on a biture, and it helps you, that's a good thing, right? And then, oh, you bought the biture for me. Okay. You know, that kind of works out. It's a self-sustaining system. CC Games, I hope you had a good trip to Hawaii. Keep up the good videos. Thanks for telling me about J-barbs. They're super cool. I've never kept J-barbs yet. I want to, but J-barbs are one of the coolest looking nanofish that I've never been able to keep. I've tried to order them a few times. They've never shipped in, but they're kind of like that crazy holy grail fish of like, whoa. So yeah, J-barbs look super cool. I have no idea if they are super cool in person. LG3 Nation, thanks for doing all the hard work in order to share your experience. I'm not doing all the hard work. I just try to share what I feel other people will benefit from. That's really what it comes down to. I will say I put effort in. You know, if I didn't have an audience this large, I would put less effort in. I think anyone would be that way. Like, you're probably not, you know, just like you always make sure your fish tank is extra clean because your whole family's going to be over on Christmas, right? Like, that's kind of the same thing going on here. Like, well, yeah. I'm going to turn this fan over here and see if I can't make this work a little better. I want that. If I do. See how bad the audio gets. All right. Hopefully it's not too bad of a wind tornado in here, I don't think. Kit McGee became a new member. Thank you very much. Gerald Wallace, the internet makes people brave. To do what you do takes thick skin. We appreciate what you do. I don't always agree with you, but so what? More than one way to skin a cat. Yes, exactly. Like, I think a lot of creators think this way of like, we don't all agree with what everyone does. We also don't think you have to agree with what we do. I like to bring food into it because I think it's a common ground for everyone, right? Let me turn this back on here. I think it's a common ground for everyone that we all have experienced eating, right? And there's lots of people that go, oh man, have you eaten this yet? It is amazing. And then you take a bite and you go, gross. I think one of the most polarizing, okay, there's no way that's overheating. There's legit no way that's overheating. That was ridiculous. I think there's something actually wrong. Anyway, one of the most polarizing things I think in food comes down to water, something our body basically needs, one of the basic needs. There are people that will absolutely love sparkling water, and there's people like me that absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate sparkling water. When I accidentally take a drink of water, let's say from my wife's glass and it's sparkling water, it makes me gag. It is that bad. And yet there's other people that only want to drink it because it's so good, right? And so a difference of opinion, no one's right or wrong really there. It's just it is, right? And that's, I think, what we should be trying to do in the hobby is take what we want and leave what we don't want. YouTube is a giant buffet. Walk down the line and go, ooh, give me some more of that. That's real good. Ooh, I don't like that. Nah, I don't need any of that. Nope. But give me some of that. Yep. And just take what you want and leave what you don't want and not fight over when you're like, oh, you're eating the Brussels sprouts? What are you, a moron? No, Brussels sprouts are clearly worse than the mashed potatoes down here. Like, just let them eat the Brussels sprouts. Move on, buddy. Wee 2134. When the rewards go away, what will happen to my current point balance? You are Aqua God. Seriously though, man, thank you so much for the info you've taught us. So we have a blog post on it and all that, and it's going out in every point reward email, I believe. Basically what happens is February 1st, the points will be no longer good. 2 weeks before that, you'll stop earning points. But up until then, basically you have the ability to accrue points and use them. And then February 1st, you can no longer use them and they will just go away. So I believe that means you will have had to have spent in your career in the last year basically $100 to get the $5 reward, right? That's the way it'll work. And so that's the way we're going to run it. Because otherwise, what I don't want to do is I don't want to be writing gift cards for like, here's a gift card for 37 cents. Like that is a losing scenario for everyone involved. Like the customer service aspect on that is going to be insane. And so that's why we're giving ample time. There's quite a bit of lead time here. Not that there's always going to be some corner cases, and I realize, but it's kind of like a Band-Aid. You just have to rip it off. You know, it's like you can't please everyone, so we'll try to please the most amount of people we can, and then we'll figure out the rest that we can't please. That's one of those, like, that's just the way it's going to have to be. All right. So I think we're going to go till about 6 o'clock, and then I'm going to Hulk smash this camera to the ground. Well, okay, that's not true, but I'm going to sulk in my chair and wonder why I can't do this. All right. Ask for a new camera from Santa? Yeah, that's not going to happen. The new camera would be worse. So, how are your Ancestors LDA008 going? I haven't heard much about them recently, and I'm interested. I got rid of them when we redid the fish room. We bred them a bunch, sold them in the store. They were never big sellers because they're always a small fish, and people feel like they're not getting much for their money because it seems so small. But yeah, they did well. I burnt out. That's one of those things, like, I ate pizza every day. Pizza's gross after 3 months of pizza every day. So, all right, let's grab some more questions. I love watching the fish room tour videos, always picking up on cool tips. Yeah, that brings up a good point. There's going to be a video coming out. I got some new fish. We shot that video yesterday. I think that comes out on Friday. But in the description right now, there is a survey. All I need you guys to do is fill out the questions. And it's 7 questions, and I think the estimation is less than 3 minutes to fill them. They're like, how old are you, male or female? How many tanks do you own? What do you like about the hobby? And like, what do you want to do next in the hobby? And there's like one other question. And what I want to do is I want to get like thousands of results there. And so I can really get in tune with what you guys are doing, what you're thinking about doing next, and try to serve you guys better. That's the goal. Like, I have no idea. It might be like, wow, literally there's 4 categories and split 25, 25, 25. But even that gives me insight into, like, okay, make sure I do at least all those 4 categories every month. And so it's not about telling me what your favorite video is or anything like that. It's my job to learn that you're super interested in X, and X amount of people are interested in that. Okay, let's figure out how I could make some videos about that if I'm passionate about it. Like, if your guys' interest aligns with my interest, great, let's do that. Or like, oh, everyone wants me to keep hedgehogs? Like, well, you know, I don't know about that whole hedgehog thing. I'm not really into that right now. But, you know, that's the goal. So if you go down there and you click on that and you fill it out, it'll also be in the description of the video on Friday. And we just want to get a bunch of data so we can just look at it and hopefully, you know, derive some facts from it, right? All right. My thoughts on Thomas Labs products. I did land a wholesale account for the antibiotics. I think they're... So I'll say this. I never used their... I want to say Oxycontin. It's not Oxycontin. What is that antibiotic? Starts with an O. Why? My brain is just not working. It's like the super antibiotic. Why can I not think of it? I will think of it later. I'll keep talking and then I'll bring it up. But I never used it because it was too harsh, and so erythromycin's always served me well. I have to look it up. My brain is... Amoxicillin. That's what it was. It wasn't with O. It was amoxicillin. But amoxicillin, you know, that's why you have to take probiotics for humans with an amoxicillin, because it nukes all your like digestional bacteria and that kind of stuff as well. So I don't think they're bad, but I don't think we as hobbyists understand how well they work or how to use them best. So in my opinion, Thomas Labs, the bulk of their money is made on the back of aquarists, but not in the aquarium industry. It's very, very common for people to use the amoxicillin meant for fish. It's very common for people to use them for chickens and dogs and that kind of stuff. And so I think it's under the guise of fish keeping. And unfortunately, I think that's partially what leads to maybe more of a crackdown coming down on antibiotics in general for everyone, no matter where you are in the world. So, yeah, if you know how to use amoxicillin and you want to use it, yes. But I don't think it's going to be around. I think it will go before erythromycin will. Like, I think it'll crack down on amoxicillin a little bit before. So, yes, there is the link down in this description, and there will be one on Friday. So, let's see here. The Aquamancer. I keep giant clams alive in reef aquariums for years. I'm going to buy some live freshwater sponges for my freshwater community tank. Can I keep the sponges alive by feeding them like the clams? I've never kept freshwater sponges in an aquarium. I would say that sounds like a great starting point. Treat them like a filter feeder. I would maybe even invest in like some reef snow and that kind of stuff, like from the saltwater world, bring it over to the freshwater side and see how it does. But I think you're kind of like trailblazing. You might want to look into like freshwater ecology of sponges, like studies and stuff, and look at what are they using spirulina cultures? What are they using to keep them alive while they study them? That's what I would look into if I was going to get into like an unknown territory like that. Yeah, that's what I would do. Is membership only available in certain countries? Asked Ryo. I think that's a true statement. Yeah, I don't know that it's rolled out worldwide yet, but I do know they released it to a bunch more countries, but I have no idea if that's Singapore where you're at, Ryo. Speaking of which, check his channel out if you haven't. Cool kid. Tips for Exodon paradoxus, which is the bucktooth tetra. Mostly treat them as like a pack of hyenas. Like they're gonna run around, be obnoxious. They got big teeth. Feed them meaty stuff like frozen bloodworms, and you could do feeders and that kind of stuff. But I don't have a whole lot of tips because I've only kept them in the store. I've never kept a personal aquarium, so it's not like I've like, oh yeah, I kept them for 3 years and here's everything I learned. It's mostly like, here's what I've learned, helping other people keep them, and that's always secondary. You know, like it would be like a coach for a professional like athlete, right? You would know a lot about that sport, but you still don't know as much about the person about it as the actual athlete would. And that's how I kind of feel about that. Like, well, I haven't actually kept them myself. So, let's see. Any word when you'll get more Monte Carlo? I ordered it last week, didn't come in. I ordered it this week as well. So hopefully soon. You know, that's every plant that we're ever out of stock on, I order it every single week. So when it's like, when's it going to come back in stock? The minute any of the like 4 wholesalers we use have it back in stock. Ooh, here's a good question. Bubble Breath says, in the newsletter, you said the bottom 20% of your products are going away. What are examples? Let's see. Some examples of that would be, I think, Zoomed Spirulina 20 Flake. So in general, the criteria is anything we were selling. Okay, let me talk about what qualified first. We made a list of anything that sold less than 1 of them a day. All right? So in comparison, let's say we sell 30 bottles of Easy Green a day, and then there are items we sell less than 1 a day. And there's some items that we sell them less than 1 a month, right? So we made a list, and then we started going through it and be like, okay, in the entire last year, we sold 0 9-watt UV sterilizer bulb replacements. We probably don't need to stock that anymore. All right, cut it. Then there's things like, okay, we carry algae wafers in the 40-gram packet, the 1.2-ounce packet, the 2.89-ounce packet, the 5-ounce packet, and the 8.8-ounce packet. Let's look at numbers. Oh, man. All these ones are selling well except for this 1.2-ounce one. We sold 17 all year long. Let's drop that one. Keep the other 3 sizes, right? Then there was like some flake foods that were not performing that well. It's like the cobalt food, flake food. We like it. I like it. We're selling the big 5-ounce flake, like the can of it, sells really well. We're keeping that. And then there's like the 2 smaller sizes that are selling like Oh, we sell one every 6 days? All right. You know, I guess we'll cut that. So I'm trying to think of other things that that got the axe, if you will. Oh, stuff like Flourish Excel. So because Easy Carbon is so successful, naturally we don't sell much Excel, so we're cutting it. Kind of the same thing with the whole Flourish line. Because Easy Green's doing so well, then it doesn't make sense to stock a warehouse full of stuff that's not selling, right? So I would say, no matter what, again, I'm sure there's products where people can be like, how dare you? I was the guy that bought all 17 of those this year, right? But unfortunately, the greater good, the goal is let's get rid of 20% of products. We're going to bring in 20% new products. So hopefully we're going to find better stuff for you. Couple of questions here I want to answer. Do you feel the aquarium hobby is growing, shrinking, or staying the same? In my personal opinion, I think the hobby has the same amount of people in the hobby, but we are much more vocal slash, what do I want to call it? Organized. I think we're better organized. So let's say we had 1 million aquarists before. I think we still have 1 million, but now we have the technology to talk to each other. It might seem like we have more because we're more vocal with each other, things like that. So we might be growing a little bit, maybe, but this is all opinion based. Like it'd be really hard to know the numbers. Like, well, maybe like part of what happens when you really look into data is, do we have more aquarists now, or have we made it easier for people to say they're an aquarist? Like, oh, we ran a poll on Facebook, and because there's twice as many Facebook users as the last time we ran the poll, now we have more aquarists. Like, it grew. Or was it the exact same, but the way we polled people changed? Oh, okay, yeah. And so it's hard to say. Have I ever considered selling aquarium books online? Yes, in general, it's a tough sell. We do have a couple of books / magazines that we sell. Part of the problem is there's not good profit margin. There's not a ton of great books that are still in print. And then people want information for free. We've basically changed to a society that thinks information should be free, which I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I'm just saying if you could watch 50 YouTube videos about a subject for free or buy a book for 28 bucks, you might be watching the YouTube videos, right? Because you want to spend the 28 bucks on fish. So, you know, I think it's a rough sell currently. Let's see. Best plant suggestion for a brackish tank? I don't think there are any good ones. I just don't think anyone's keeping them in brackish water and then selling them to you as brackish water. I think someone needs to develop that business. That's what I think. I'm gonna see if this cable's loose. The cabling it all. Turn it back on. We'll try again. It's gonna be another 30 seconds of bliss. All right. Okay, that literally lasted a second and a half. How dare it? How dare it? I completely give up. All right. I'm going to find some questions worth answering. I'm watching the video behind the time. The whole hobby myself included need to stop having expectations of fish YouTubers to be perfect and start to appreciate them. And YouTubers need to care less. Yeah, I think how do I say this? Yes, I think that's the answer is just yes. All of those things. I'm not sure that we need to be appreciated more, because that sounds weird when a YouTuber is saying like, you should appreciate me more. I'm not sure that, but I do think if we can understand each other better, know that what's the difference between Corey and you on the other side of this screen is I'm just the one you're watching. Like, if we were both neighbors, we were both just keeping fish and we would just learn from each other. But the person on this side of the camera gets elevated up, and with the elevation comes expectations, comes, stress and all these things. So, I don't think there's really fish YouTubers, if you will, that are like cutting edge leading scientists and like really trailblazing. All we're good. We might be good storytellers. We might be good in front of a camera. We might, be really dedicated to what we're trying to do. Those are all probably true things. But I'm not sure. Like, I'm trying to think who would be a great channel. Like, great channels might be like importers and exporters, wild collectors. But even that, everything I think gets tainted eventually. Like, because naturally you want to do a better job. Like, that's in human nature, I think. We just want to do a better job. Like, I want this camera to work. Why didn't I use the old camera? Well, I could have, but I wanted this one because it looked better. Keeps me interested, I guess. All right. Man, someone forgot the like button? Oh, no. My voice is going. Yes, this camera is offline. It's offline. Have you ever had a tank? Oh, hold on. Have you ever had plants in a tank grow so successfully that they reduced the flow and consumed nutrients enough to cause cyanobacteria? Yes, but I don't know that I could make the causation that caused cyanobacteria. I gotta drink some water here. So while that could definitely be true, I don't want to come off as saying like, yeah, that's a thing. Like, it might be a thing, but it could also just be like a consequence of something else going on too. All right. Sell fish online. Yeah, not doing that. Yeah, this stream is sponsored by Elgato. Tell me about it. Yeah. Do you know what my number one selling product is across all the product lines you sell? As in selling plant, fish food, fruits, etc. Yeah. So if we're talking about money, the majority of our money is made from our fertilizers, and then it goes to Fluval lighting, and then it goes to like a bunch of like filtration products. Yeah. If you go on sheer numbers, like, we sell an insane amount of cardinal tetras and a mono shrimp, like a lot. Which is funny because it's not even an online sold item, but so many sell in the store that it skews things. So, yeah. How's Pineapple doing? Pineapple's my albino red-eared slider. She is in the warehouse, loving life, in a basking spot in a 300-gallon tote currently because it's cold outside. Let's see. Do you know how to remineralize water for a planted shrimp tank? I was thinking of using Tropica's specialized fertilizer plus B shrimp GH plus RODI water. Would love to hear your opinion. My opinion, without knowing more, is don't do any of that. Like, most shrimp will adapt. So this is one of those crazy, like, I would say this goes back to the beginning of the live stream. Oh, shrimp can only live in this. Like, well, in your opinion, like, so many different pHs and hardnesses have been done with all of these shrimp that I watch a lot of people get into RO water because that's what the internet says, and they have no business. Like, if it's your first aquarium, you should never be touching RO water. Let's be real here. Like, learn to keep fish that live in your water well while you're learning how to keep a fish alive. Then make it 10 times harder on yourself. But don't start that way. Yeah. Corey, if you could rename your business without any of the negative ramifications, what would I choose? I would choose... I would probably choose something with the word fish tank in it. And... I'm trying to think what else. Fish tank ranks higher than aquarium, just for SEO purposes. And I want it easy to spell. There's a lot of people in this country, unfortunately, that can't spell the word aquarium. And I see that because we track those analytics. Like, so I would choose something short and sweet, simple to spell, and, yeah, that's that's the reality. Like, it's a pain. Aquarium Co-Op, how's that spelled? I don't know. Giant gouramis get quite large. How fast do they grow to their full size under normal and average aquarium conditions? I've only ever kept them till about 20 inches. So that's not full grown. They can do that in about 18 months. So I don't know the full answer there. That being said, I don't try to grow them large. Like on a fish like that, I would be holding the food back not to make them grow super duper fast. But they are a glutton for food. They were out competing everything when I kept them. I had to move them solo. Grant Cook says, we have a well at my house and a water softener. How does this differ from city water in fish keeping? Will it affect growing plants and fish? So the difference would be, probably, without testing the water, you won't have to deal with taking chlorine or chloramine out of the water. Not that big of a deal either way. The water softener may be bringing a little bit of salt into your water. In a perfect world, if you could get your well water not through the softener, so like maybe from an outside hose, or you could bypass it somehow. Sometimes wells, and I say sometimes because not all the time, sometimes they have more hardness in the water, sometimes they have extra nitrates in the water. Like well water in general, I think here's the biggest difference. Let me just cut to it. The biggest difference is a well is typically managed by maybe one family or a group of families, whereas a public utility like that, someone's being paid to monitor it, and it runs typically much more stable and consistent, whereas like a well can go with the ebbs and flows of seasons and that type of thing. So I would say in a perfect world, with my skill level, I would choose to have a well. If you were brand new to the hobby, I would choose to have public drinking water. That's what I would choose. Do I think meds are overused in the hobby? I think it's the opposite. I think meds are underused. Now, it depends on what the hobby is. I think they're way underused in wholesale facilities and that type of thing. I think they might be overused in some pet stores, maybe even mine included. It's a hard thing to say. What I do think is, I think we have the technology and the ability to dramatically reduce the amount of disease and parasites we see in our stores, in our home aquariums, if we were to actively fight it from the source. And so that means fish farms, fish wholesalers, educate people, right? So like, what if we like launched a campaign over the next 5 years? Like, let's try to eradicate ick from the United States. What do we want everyone to do? The farms are going to commit to doing this treatment. The stores will commit to doing this treatment. And the hobbyists will commit to doing this treatment. I think we could dramatically remove maybe 98% of cases from ick from even existing in 5 years, right? And as long as we were doing it at the wholesale level, even if a farm in Thailand or India or wherever didn't want to participate, if we were getting it at ground zero when it landed in the country, we could probably, I don't think we can eliminate it, but we could dramatically reduce. And I think we've done that with a lot of diseases, kind of with humans, right? Like we haven't necessarily eradicated stuff, but we've gotten to be like, wow, that thing's rare now. So, all right. Was the new Zis filter successful from a business perspective? Will you be bringing in other Zis products? From a business perspective, too early to tell. So I'll say this. With the way people trust what we do, I could launch anything and it will be successful because people will trust what I say. Now, I'm not trying to say that to be like, you know, boast or anything like that. It's just, that's how stuff gets out of control too. Oh, Corey said he got a new filter. It's better than chocolate milk, right? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I just got a new filter. It's not even that amazing. Like, it's good, but it ain't, new sliced bread. So in the first month, yes, we sold a bunch. Good. Do I like using them? Yes, I personally like them. I like them in the store. I like them in my tanks. Now, a year from today, if they're still selling well and the public likes them, I would say yes, that is successful. But I think it's too early to tell because, you know, what if they all break at the 6-month mark and I got egg on my face going, oh geez, look who's horrible. Corey is, you know, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Let's see here. Ken Dyer says, issue with the survey. What's your favorite aquarium? Are you trying to start a fight between me and my fishy friends? They're all my favorites. Well, that's a unique perspective. There's, you know, that's helpful. If people think they're all the same, that's helpful, right? It's more trying to see, it's a loaded question. Really, we're asking like, okay, how long have you been in the hobby versus what are you into? Does that correlate with other people? Do people, like, I want to know, like, everyone at the 2-year mark, are they totally into puffers or is it just based on what they're into? Like, I'm trying to find some data. So, Yeri Beth says, I'm having some issues with aggression with their Neolamprologus multifasciatus, which are multis. I realize it's an oddity. I have 6 fish and a 40 breeder. Any recommendations or suggestions? I wouldn't say that's an oddity. It's very common for males to be very, very, very territorial with each other. My suggestions, not knowing pictures of the tank and that kind of stuff, I like to have the entire bottom of the aquarium filled with shells. So that, like, in a 40-gallon tank, to multis, if you had 20 shells in one corner of a 40-gallon tank, that tank could be 10 gallons or 40 gallons, all the same to them. But if you have an entire bed of shells, that allows a lot more territory. The other thing you could run into, if you had 5 males and 1 female, all 5 males are going to fight to who gets the territory near the female. So the suggestions I have might be adding more fish and adding more shells. Without knowing more, you might go, hey, I got 4 billion shells already. That ain't going to help. Then I'd add some more fish. And you could also try adding some dithers. I don't know if you already have that. Maybe you add some like neon dwarf rainbows or something like that harder water up in the mid water to kind of like, ooh, I better keep my eye on those instead of my neighbor. So live stream is planned for Christmas. I don't know if I'm planning to do one on New Year's yet. I don't know what day of the week it lands. I know some other YouTubers are doing it. I don't know what my plans are. So your best says I've got 72 shells. So I believe in my 65-gallon, which had the same footprint, I was closer to 300 shells in mine that I ran. So that just gives you perspective, same footprint, about 300. So, you know, it also depends on the shells. Like if you're going with escargot versus whale eye versus turbo shells, like not all shells are the same, and you should have a mix because different sized multis can change the direction of the shells differently based on what they can lift. So, yeah. All right. I'm having chat issues now? What does that mean? I don't know. All right. Ooh, was told to use ginger powder to treat ick. Have I ever heard of this or used that? I've never heard of that or used it. That's new to me. I'm not saying it doesn't work, just never seen it. Yeah. Might work. I would try it. Let us all know if it's the next best thing. First time having guppies. They were all males. I got 6 males. How many females should I add? I would add at least 6. If you can afford 12, do 12. Like, you need at least 6 though. And in a perfect world, maybe you could even like return 3 males and get 6 females. Like, you want more girls than boys, usually helps. Mariah Stevens says, just subscribed. In your opinion, how many fancy goldfish for my planted 125 with 3 hot rodded hang-on back style filters running 1,200 gallons per hour for handling bioload? So there's still a lot more unknowns there, but in my opinion, if it was me personally and I was taking care of the aquarium and I was doing the water changes and I knew how to watch for illness and all these things, I would probably go with somewhere between 6 and 8. That's just me personally. Yeah. You could do more, but I don't want to be necessarily a slave to it either. And it also depends what you're going to feed. That's one of those things that, depending on what you want to accomplish, is what you can do. So, Mascara Terra Mascara Terror. It's so sad to see Corey in videos from 2 years ago being happy and carefree, and now the internet is beating him down and not enjoying YouTube like he used to. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I enjoy YouTube less. I think... I'm trying to think. I'm not sure that I enjoy it less. I think I just don't hide it as much. Does that make sense? Like, now I'm just more vocal about, hey, quit being an idiot. I think. I'm trying to think if I actually enjoy it less. So I really enjoy making new videos that I haven't done before. And at this point, if I've done 50 fish room tours, it's not exactly fun. If I've done 100 daily doses / fish room updates, I know I've done over 100 live streams. Like, doing the same thing over and over and over again isn't like super exciting. Doesn't mean I wouldn't do it, but at the same time, like, well, new and exciting is always more fun. And the longer you do the same thing, those are going to be fewer and further between. Like, I still want to do some more collecting trips, but I have a feeling after like 2, 3, 4, 5 more collecting trips, oh, that's kind of boring too, you know? And so really this is a big documentation of my hobby, and not many people will be this involved in a hobby like this for their entire life, or, you know, for long periods of time. Like, everything's got kind of a, everyone's got kind of a life expectancy in any hobby. You know, right now I really want to play ping pong. I want to do some competitive ping pong. That's really where I'm like, ooh, I should do that. So I might do it. Who knows? Let's see. Can I talk about my new employee, Randy? Sure. I think I'm going to have him on the show in a couple weeks. It's been a great benefit in the fact that he's freeing me up to make more videos and that kind of stuff. So I still handle a lot of the customer service aspects. We're still in a training phase where he's trying to learn the Aquarium Co-op style, what relationships we have built with vendors, that kind of stuff. We're trying to like pick up some new vendors, I guess. I'm trying to think of how I can explain it without talking about the companies and good or bad about them. So let's say one of the jobs that I've tasked Randy with is there are products on Amazon. This is a perfect one. We haven't attempted this yet, but I'm not afraid to lose this brand. So, not that would... See, now all of a sudden people are thinking like, oh, he won't talk bad about a brand because he's afraid of losing them. Like, I don't want that to be the case either. But Eheim, all right? Currently on our website, I don't even know the price. I want to know the price now. Now I gotta search my own website here. Eheim Auto Feeder, right? Let me pull this up here. We sell it for $32.99, right? I believe on Amazon it's sold for $22. That is a $13 difference, all right? And if I'm being 100% transparent, I pay $22.50 for it. I pay more for it from my wholesaler than I do if I was to buy it from Amazon. Now, if you're smart, you're doing the math going, every time he sells one of those Eheim feeders, he makes $13. Oh man, that dude's getting rich. Now, let me walk you through the process a little bit just to go, well, in my defense, all right, in my defense, I have to pay some shipping to get it from the wholesaler to me. It's not a huge amount, but there's a little bit of money there. The minute you pay with a credit card, there goes about 2.5%. So that's what, roughly 10% would be $3.20. A quarter of that would be like 85 cents or something like that. So 85 cents of that profit goes to the credit card company. Then I have to ship it to you. So imagine you buy just an Eheim auto feeder, right? Currently, we have shipping set at $30 free this month, or at least for right now. We might change it, whatever. So if you buy the Eheim feeder, that's all you buy, then it costs me $6.90 to ship it to you. So now I'm at about $7 and what is that? $7.70, let's just say, for random math, of cost to ship it to you. Then I have to pay an employee to pack it and ship it. Let's say that's another 20 cents, so, or 30 cents. I'm making it even $8, right? So now my profit is $3 technically, and that has to cover the customer service of you asking questions how to set it up, me making a video, 1 out of 50 of them getting broken or being DOA on arrival. And so yes, we're probably making $1 or $2 per sale at that. So what does Randy do? I'm going full circle here now that I've explained that. Randy, we're trying to get him to go, okay, so if Amazon's selling at 22 bucks, clearly there's a way that they're getting it cheaper. We need to reach out to Eheim and we need to go look. It's being sold at $22. That's below my buy price. How many do we have to buy? Aquarium Co-op, do we got to buy 1,000 of them? Is it 10,000 of them? How do we get it so we can sell it at 22 bucks and turn a profit? And then sometimes they go, you can't. We're just going to sell it to Amazon. And we go, oh, okay, there's no viable alternative. Maybe we'll have our own design or something like that. But that's one of his big tasks is how do we get it when an item sells cheaper? You'd be surprised how many items are cheaper. Another one, for instance, is Eco Complete. Eco Complete is cheaper to buy on Amazon than it is for me to buy from a wholesaler. How does that make any sense? Right? So it's stuff like that that we're working on and trying to figure out, like, how do we get in there? How do we play with this, play in this realm? Because we just really want to, we think the Eheim is a great product. I use a ton of them. I like it. I just want to be able to make sure I don't lose money when I sell it. And that's the thing is, like, we get a lot of flack. You're more expensive than Amazon. Yep. Sometimes we are. But I can promise you that when we are, we're not getting rich. That's what we have to sell it at to not lose money. Skins and Celtics fan, Eco Complete is also trash. I could not disagree with you harder. Like, my personal opinion is I love Eco Complete. What really sold me on Eco Complete, from my own personal experience, was the fact that I set up a 29-gallon aquarium in my grandmother's TV room, and it had the luscious plants we had ever seen with me dosing fertilizer like once every 5 weeks when I visited. It did so well. Then my grandma, because it was doing so well, wanted another aquarium. We set up another aquarium, and I didn't do Eco Complete. They had the same lighting. They weren't the exact same size, so there is differences there. But same plants, same lighting, different substrates, same fertilizer schedule, and didn't even grow nearly the same. Now, there's a lot of outside factors like my water is going to be different than your water. My grandmother's water is even different than my water. But in my experience, I actually do love Eco Complete. I love it, and everyone's got the way they take care of an aquarium is going to be different. They've got their own style. They've got their own plants they want to grow. They got their own thing. But I actually love Eco Complete, and I'm not afraid to say it. So, what would I say my most profitable item is? What do I have the highest markup on? Highest markup. Most profitable. I gotta think. Definitely products that we bring in. Well, the stuff we were bringing in from China was pretty good. Now it's like one of our worst margins, like overnight. What's a good profit margin item? Ooh, I know. Pipettes. Pipettes are our best. I don't know if they're our best, but they're one of our best profit margin. We buy them in crazy mass bulk, and then we sell them one at a time. Usually that's a good spot. When you can, in business, when you can buy things in, like, I buy them thousands at a time, and people typically only need one at a time. That's usually where you're making some money, right? Trying to think of anything else. Air stones we make decent on. I have to buy air stones thousands of dollars at a time. Most people buy air stones a couple of dollars at a time. So the fridge magnet's got to have a big margin. What do we sell the fridge magnet for? I know it costs us over $1 to have it produced. Let me see. Fridge magnet. Oh, is it not even on? Oh, it's not called a fridge magnet. It's just a magnet. Oh, I can't even find my own stuff. It's got to be under swag, right? Co-op gear. I think I took it off the website. I don't even think we have it anymore. I don't know. A lot of the custom items are not, they're not good profit margin at all. Like, we do it because, so a good example, our Aquarium Co-op measuring spoon is definitely an item that doesn't make us money. I think we pay $1.09 for it, and we sell it for $1.25. Now, if you do that math again about like, well, you gotta ship it, and you gotta pack it, and you gotta take a credit card and all that, like I think we actually lose money on each measuring spoon we sell. But it's got our name on it, right? And that's kind of cool, and there's something for branding, and it's advertising, right? Technically. So, any plans to expand the Aquarium Co-op brand of products, other foods and plant products? Yes, technically. I'm kind of on this big kick right now where I don't want to brand it necessarily. So, like, how do I explain that? I was gonna show it to you, but you can't see it. Let's say a sponge filter, right? I don't need it to say it's an Aquarium Co-op sponge filter. Like, I don't need the packaging to say that. So, am I thinking about having sponges made? Yes, we're having sponges made. They're my own design, but they don't need to be, you know, an easy sponge type of thing. They can just be like, oh yeah, that's a sponge filter you guys sell. So what I was thinking about, what I'm really honestly, if I'm being 500% transparent here, I believe I'm going to raise our minimum order, our minimum free shipping order back to $70 because I want to condense the packages we're sending out. So what that means, if I raise that number up, it will incentivize people to, like, let's say you were going to order a Zis filter, right? And it's $30, that gets you free shipping. If I set it at 70, half the people that will order Zis filters will just buy 2 instead, knowing that, like, well, I'll see if I like it and I will need 2 if I do. So that will save packaging and emissions and all that kind of stuff on the environment. Same thing, like, when it comes to sponge filters and stuff, I want to start getting them made, if I do it in China, without the packaging. So they're just no-name filters that do the exact same thing, but we don't need to recycle the extra pieces of cardboard. Like, that's more my goal. So I would, like, I know that I'm a guy that I'll order stuff off Amazon, and it's so easy just to click a button and it arrives. I don't take into account, like, well, maybe I should have thought about it for a few days and placed an order once a week instead of like, oh, I'll order from Amazon every 3 days. So I'm trying, I want to foster the behavior of, like, how do we have less of an impact? How can, in multiple ways, by the way, less of an impact on the environment, less of an impact on the supply chain of getting a package from my warehouse to your house, right? So if I send 5 little packages, that's way more burden on infrastructure than it is if we don't, and we send it as one big package. Now, if I want that to happen, I do believe, and you kind of got to lead by example, you got to start doing it, and then other people are going to hopefully follow suit, right? And so I do think we're going to do that, and I want to make sure that people feel like they're getting their money's worth, and we're not just doing it for bad reasons. Like, obviously the first critique will be like, you did that because you make more money. I mean, technically we run the numbers and it's almost the exact same either way, but I care more, and this is one of the hardest things for Randy to get his head around. I care more about, let's say, you guys, the customer, the environment, and that kind of stuff than making more money. Like, he comes from companies where it's all profits. We got to grow by this, we got to do this, we got to meet quotas, we got to do these things. And for me, it's like, how do I make shipping better? Like, and the first thing is like, make it cheaper, more people will buy stuff. Like, no, how do we make it better? Like, oh, more reliable. Oh, it ships a little bit faster. Oh, all these things that don't make us more money. It costs us more money to ship them faster. It costs us more money to run these tests. It costs us more money to, like, show me any other shipper out there that's using 4-day heat packs. To the best of my knowledge, no one, right? We don't charge for them. We don't charge for heat packs. We don't charge for styrofoam. We don't charge for the industrial strength tape we just upgraded to. Like, our goal is to make the company more profitable so that we can make the product better, not to make more money. That's always the roundabout way. The roundabout way is if I made the product better and you guys like it more, someday down the road it does make more money. When we run out of ways to make our products better, then there'll be profit on the table. For now, we just recirculate it back into the system to go, great, we made money, let's make a better sponge filter. Oh, that's doing really well, great, let's make a new hang-on back filter. Oh, great, let's make a new better light. Let's keep making new better things until we've revolutionized as many things as we can and we don't have the answers anymore. Then, we'll, then I'll just go, I'm just making fat stacks, quit buying from me. I try to be as transparent as I can. I recommend you guys buy where it makes sense. Maybe it makes sense at your local fish store. Maybe it makes sense at Amazon. Maybe it makes sense buying from me. Maybe it makes sense buying from another YouTuber. Like, all I can do is present to you guys what I think is a fair value proposition. I'll give you my opinions. Maybe some of you will give me your money. If it doesn't line up, I'll go run someone else's business. It'll be great. I do believe I can make another business a lot of money. And so I'm not worried about how will Corey make money. I am worried about how will my employees make money. Will they have a fair place to work? I need to lead by example, stuff like that. So I worry a lot about, making sure we take care of employees in a way that we can sustain. I don't want to, be like, oh great, here's extra healthcare, here's 500% raise, here's all these things. Oh, we're out of business. Sorry about that. I'm not trying to do that either. So. Fiddling with the wire? I can try fiddling with the wire. I'm going to try on the outside. Give me 22 seconds. Count it. Keep counting. We got to be at like second 18 or something. Wiggled it on the other side of the door. Now let me unplug it and plug it into... Oh! I totally figured it out. Oh man, I feel like such a noob. I wish I had a camera right now so I can show you how ridiculous this is. The camera's not plugged in to a power source. I gotta crawl on the ground. I have no idea why it's unplugged. I didn't unplug it. I have no idea why. Usually I have Jimmy do this because it's way back there. All right, hold on. I figured it out though. I'm pretty sure. If you hear a bunch of grunting, it's because I have to stretch and contort the way this body's never been meant to. But it would make sense why it dies instantly if the battery's dead. And since I was doing 4K footage, it only does it for X amount of... All right, let's see. Let's see if it'll work. It hasn't turned back on yet, right? So it got to charge. Oh, it might have to charge. It might have to charge to the minimum setting. Hold on. Let's see. Are you working yet? Here we go. So it turns out you have to supply power to electronics for them to work. I learn something new every day. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I have no idea why that was unplugged. Now I know if I don't see the red wire plugged in. I literally can't think of a single reason it'd be unplugged. Okay, I can think of one reason. If by some miracle we had to charge my other camera, which we don't charge in here, but yeah. Good thing I didn't Hulk smash this thing, right? And good thing Jimmy didn't find it. I would never hear the end of this. I mean, I'm never going to hear the end of it now. This is going to be its own. I'm going to get Jimmy. Jimmy, if you're listening, we need to make a red wire like emoji meme, apparently. Be like, anytime anything goes wrong from now on, it needs to be like, did you check the red wire? Cut the red wire. Like... Oh man, this one's going down in the books of like, oh man, this guy. Yeah. So there you go. Don't trust me. I can't even make sure I have a battery plugged in. Well, it was on a battery technically. All right. Is it a factor in opinion that electronics need to be plugged in? Well, I got to do some more analysis. So far it's just opinion. Yeah. Yeah, is it plugged in is now a meme for sure. I can't believe I actually figured it out. Like I looked down, I was like, wait, why is there unplugged wires? Yeah, makes sense though. I knew it couldn't be overheating. I knew it. I knew it. All right, what have I missed on the black screen bonus is now done. Am I ever going to talk about fish? Ryan, no, I will never talk about fish. Yeah. No, sorry, we're never going to talk about fish. To be fair, I don't think anyone's really asked about fish, and every time they did, I've answered it. Not every time, but... Yeah, I'm scrolling up and I see lots of not fish questions, so... Have you ever tried to make fish food from aquarium plants? I personally haven't. Yeah, the only thing that I've wanted to try is drying duckweed. It's a great source to start infusoria, but... yeah, I've never really done it. I learned that trick from Greg Sage, so. Ooh, I like that plug-in emoji. I won't steal that one, but I'm gonna get one for sure. Ooh, by the way, I've got a meeting, a meeting scheduled with YouTube about memberships. So you guys, like, I must be doing something right in the membership world because they want my feedback, all right? And my feedback so far, maybe you guys have some feedback of being a member. One of the things I really want is that members that donate the $5 don't have limited chat, right? So this is my hypothesis. I want it to be able for me to turn on or off. Right now I can't control it. My hypothesis is this. If you're willing to invest $5, you're probably not just going to spam the crap out of the chat and make it horrible. That being said, that could totally happen, and we would take it on a case-by-case basis, and if it happened all the time, then we would just make it the same level playing field for everyone. But mostly I limit the chat due to people that come in and just spam their question nonstop until it gets answered. Not so much to limit your guys' actual chat interactions and that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to bring to their attention is why don't these emojis, why can't they be used in normal comments on my videos also? Makes sense, right? So yeah. Is ICX safe for snails? Oh yes it is. Oh yes. I don't even have ICX in here. I thought I did. Any idea what to do with a ton of excess frog bit? Either get a turtle or make friends with someone who owns a turtle and they will love it. Turtles will chow down on that. How long is the pause between messages? I had issues trying to interact when Corey tried to answer my question. 60 seconds. So you can have one message every 60 seconds. So it's a minute between. And you can see kind of how fast chat moves now. You can imagine how hard it is to me to keep up. If I don't do that, it's impossible. And you can imagine, you know, we got 600 and some people watching, and that's when we didn't have video. You can imagine, well, if you had video, oh man. Yeah. Best UV sterilizers. I like all-in-one units. I'm partial to the Aquatop line currently, but I could be swayed to anyone else as long as it's all-in-one. I don't want to have to like put it in line with the cancer filter and make it hard, and I just want to plug it in and want it to work. So, as you can see, I just want to plug this camera in and I want it to work. Is that too much to ask? So, why is it so hard to grow the plant Tilenanthera cardinalis? I'm dosing Flourish every other day and Flourish Iron twice a week. Any suggestions you would have? Greatly appreciated. So one, it's hard to get that plant to stay super purple if that's what you're trying to do. But if you're just trying to grow it, Flourish Iron and Flourish would be lacking a lot of nitrogen and potassium and phosphates. Because Flourish itself is very, very weak. So like, without actually doing the math, Flourish, Seachem Flourish, the way it's sold, is more like dosing Easy Green Nano without it being a nano tank. So it's like 1/10 the strength of what like an Easy Green is. And so I think you could be running without knowing water parameters and all that kind of stuff. I think you might just straight up just need more food. Like it just straight up is hungry. So I would look into that. Without, you could email us and we could kind of dive into it a little bit more, but I would wager that. So what DSLR do I recommend for a starter camera for a multi-tank addiction. So I've got two camps of thought on this. One is don't upgrade until you can get something like this XT3, which I fully am aware that it's like $2,000, right? So my one camp is just keep saving until you can get, like, a camera like this will last you like 5+ years, right? The other camp is like, well, what if I just made it pretty good sooner, right? And in that camp, my first DSLR or whatever that I personally would recommend, I would go with the Canon M50. I think on sale for Christmas and all that stuff, it's running about $600. If you want to see a good example of the quality difference, go watch Tazawa's Tanks videos, Zenzo. He was using an iPhone with moment lenses and doing everything he could do, and then he upgraded to the M50, and you can clearly see the quality difference, right? And so, but I do believe, like, it all depends on how serious are you. Like, oh man, I'm going to use this Canon M50, and then if like 6 months later you're just going to upgrade to a $2,000 camera, maybe we should just wait 6 months and get that $2,000 camera anyway. So those are my current words of wisdom between those two. Like, either get in cheap and stay there for a long time, or just save up and, you know, go top level. LR Bretts and I think Kit McGee was already a member from earlier, but LR Bretts Aquatics is a member. Thank you, buddy. I believe Lucas will be out here in January. I don't know if I want to say what day and all that kind of stuff, because I don't want to make it weird. If he wants to say it, you're more than welcome to. Just don't give my address away. But maybe we'll do something. Maybe we won't. You know, I don't want to pigeonhole him. Like, maybe he wants to visit all the cool stuff the Northwest has to offer, and not this malfunctioning camera. You know. So, did I answer this question? Oh, Candy Overhaul is amazing. All the amazings. Yes, definitely. Long term, I would love to find a way to, you know, and okay, let me back up. I haven't talked with Candy about this, but long term, I would love to find a way where there was a full-time, like, for lack of a better term, customer service representative position for Aquarium Co-op. And so maybe that job is like answering some emails, maybe that's being in the live streams like this, maybe it's helping us on the Facebook. And right now she does a lot of that stuff, not the emails, but pro bono, which super thankful for. She does have an affiliate link, so she does earn some credit and money that way. Not a lot. Like, I don't want to play it off like, oh, she's only doing this to get paid. She does it out of the goodness of her heart. Very thankful for that, and she does it for a lot of channels, and I'm not trying to steal her away from other channels or anything like that. I'm more just going like, how do I keep making sure that Aquarium Co-op is a sustainable model? Because the reality is, if any of my mods leave, it is detrimental to the Aquarium Co-op experience. You know, whether they're in this chat right now or not, some people are in different time zones. Everyone's helping in the ways they can right now. And I also don't think I have a position where it's like, oh, I could just hire 50 mods and I pay them all $50 an hour and it's super cool, right? And so each thing brings its own, like, challenges and tribulations and all that kind of stuff. But that is, I do think about that. I try to genuinely think about who's helping me do what I do. How can I help them help me, right? It's a weird thing, and, you know, it's like a remote working thing. There's a lot of trust there, and you know, and I do trust her. I'm not saying I don't trust her. I just haven't. We've talked about it a little bit, and I haven't found the right way to make it work. And it's not that it wouldn't work. It's that I got to be at the right place financially. We got to figure out what she would do, if she wanted to do it, if it made sense. Like, there's stuff going on with Caleb, and she moved, and there's all these things. She might not even want to do it. She might grow to hate it, and, you know, but it's a long-winded way of trying to show my appreciation to not just Candy, but all the mods and all the people that help, even employees that are on payroll. Like, a lot of people do a lot of work for us. And I say us as in us as the employees, and us as the community. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Like, you know, Lucas Bretts is, you know, he doesn't have to be in this chat right now. He's hanging out here because he wants to hang out. You guys don't have to be here live right now. You're hanging out because you want to hang out. You know, so there's a lot of, I think it's one of those things that works because we're all investing in it, and it wouldn't work if none of us were, you know, so. All right, we got some new members from Multi-Tank Addiction and SoCal Buns. I hope that's like, I fell in love with, what is it, like sweet bread in Hawaii. It's good. That's some good hamburgers there. Easy Green has like 40x the nitrate compared to Flourish. That I knew. I knew it was way more concentrated on nitrate, but I don't know all of the other concentrations on the other macros and micros, and I don't want to like be way far off and just look totally ridiculous. So, what filter were you using? Okay, hold on. Oh, what filter were you using that you could back flush? It was on the 800-gallon tank and it had a UV sterilizer built in. That was the Laguna PF 4000. Yeah, great name, guys. It is a pressurized pond filter, PF 4000. They run about $500, maybe $400 without a pump. So you got to put that on there. And I did like it though. I'm running 2 of them on the pond right now. So yeah. And I paid for both of them, by the way. Try mounting your Nubius to driftwood or lava rock to keep the rhizome out of the substrate. It's a good tip. Yeah, there you go. I don't know why my brain doesn't work right now. I'm hungry. I want to invite all of you guys to the Aquarium group support. And I haven't promoted it in a long time. I do like the group, and so I want to invite you guys there. If you don't know, we have a Facebook group that is dedicated purely to helping people keep fish. So the way it's designed is someone asks a question, then we offer positive experience, positive opinions, and that kind of stuff. It's not trying to tell someone how they're doing something wrong. It's to try and answer questions that are being answered. So a lot of like what's going on here in the chat right now would be a perfect example of how the Aquarium group support runs 24 hours a day. There's about 10,000 members, and people share pictures, and they get feedback, and I'll be honest, we're very ruthless with swearing and people being derogatory or negative. Like, it's not a space for that. None of the people that volunteer their time, like Candy and Joel and Danny's Aquariums and Flynn, and there's people that moderate that. Nobody wants to surround themselves with people that are fighting and then trying to sort out who's wrong, who's right, all that kind of stuff. So, but if you're wanting I don't want to call it a safe space. I'm not trying to make it like, oh, it's a safe space. I'm trying to make it like, if you want a place where we're only trying to harbor positive aquarium hobby, that's a cool place to hang out, in my opinion. So, what's your opinion on a BGK and a community tank? So BGK stands for Black Ghost Knife. I think it's okay so long as you don't have things that are eating too fast. So like, let's say you had like 50 rainbow fish and you're trying to get bloodworms down to the Black Ghost Knife. That can be really hard. But otherwise, I'm a huge fan of them. I've got one in 125, and my biggest thing I hate right now in my life is the fact I keep telling you guys, we're gonna redo the 800 gallon. I'm gonna start breeding stuff. I swear I'm trying, and we're getting closer and closer every day. There keeps being things that like just drop in my lap. I'm like, this cannot not get done. Like, that's the reality of somehow it's like, oh, dang, okay, let's take care of that, and that just keeps happening. And yeah, so I am going to do that. I got the Ghost Knife. It's going in there. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to love it. So, all right. Ooh, did I have any Loco Moco when I was in Hawaii? Definitely did. Although I'm a little weird and I like my Loco Moco on mashed potatoes instead of the rice. That's just, and I like it with Spam instead of the ground beef patty. Spam, woo, I love it. I'm a weirdo. Any nanofish that like some flow? That answer has to be yes. I just got to think of it. Well, then it gets down to like how nano. A lot of the Pseudomogil rainbows love a lot of flow, but I'm trying to think of something like even smaller that likes flow. Gambusia do pretty well in flow, but they're not necessarily nano. Link to that community page, someone must have it. One of my super duper mods has it, but if you type in Aquarium Group Support in Facebook, it should come up. There you go, Candy's on it. So yes, LR Bretts will be here the 16th through the 19th. we're going to do whatever he wants to do. I know he wants to do a little bit of filming, a little bit of hanging out. Maybe we'll meet up with Dean. Maybe we'll, you know, I don't want to speak for any people involved, but hopefully something cool will happen. Hillstream fish, yep. So especially like the Borneo sucker loach, the smaller version of a hillstream loach. Those guys like a lot of flow. Panda loaches, that'd be a good one. I also think rosy loaches like it. I think my eye's gonna explode. I don't know what's going on there. Plant suggestions in a 10-inch tall tank. I would go Cryptocorn Crazy. I would use like Cryptoin Deadeye Red and that kind of stuff as a background plant. It's like I'm saying prees. Background plant, and then use Crypt Parva, which is why I brought the R in there. I knew the next one was Parva. Crypt Parva in the foreground, and I would just do crypts all day long. Do I ship worldwide? Nope, unfortunately I only ship in the USA because shipping is ridiculous. And half of the stuff we sell is illegal in other countries. Fertilizer, the way we rate lights in the US is different than Canada and other countries. Same with plants, you can't ship them across the border. There's a lot of weird stuff that we can't do. So when I find any experience with Petricola catfish, definitely do. I'm looking for some extra info. There's nothing on the internet. There's definitely a lot on the internet. Mostly, what info do you want? One of the great guides I would say if you want to breed them is look on Greg Sage's Select Aquatics. He's got a long video series. I know that I believe Lucas Brett's there has some videos on him feeding them and playing with them. I know he's had them for a while now. If you have specific, like, oh, I want to know about this, I might be able to help you there. Oh man, Tater Hater, Scory like potatoes, unsubscribed. Yes, I love potatoes. Taters. I read that you can cut, crush, and abrade. That's a word I don't know. I don't know abrade. Anubias roots, and they can rot. I don't know if there is a cure once the rot starts. Yes, I don't know if there is a cure for Anubias rot. Abrade is a word I don't know. Let's look it up in the dictionary while I got it open, right? Abrade. It's a verb. Scrape or wear away friction or erosion. Learn something new every day. Abrade. I did not know that word. I am slightly more educated than I was 2 minutes ago. Fastest growing plants by biomass. Cambrosia hydrophilia. That's a fast one. The fastest plant, in my opinion, would probably be hornwort. When it's happy, you can like watch that thing grow. It's insane. I mean, there's a few fast growing plants, but I'm not sure there's much faster than hornwort, honestly. Algae scrubbers any good? Yes, when you use them to scrub nitrates out of water. I think algae scrubbers are great for maybe brackish water and salt water. In fresh water, and people always rage when I say this, like, I look at algae like it's a plant. Even though it's a protist, I would much rather use a decorative plant to scrub nitrates out of water instead of an algae scrubber. It does the same thing, and there are tanks in freshwater that need it, like maybe it's an Oscar tank or big Central and South American tank, that type of thing. But in general, I'd rather use maybe even pothos or sweet potatoes like I was going to try, something like that. I think it's visually more appealing to me. So I don't know the name of the fish, but you've heard of a fish that looks exactly like a dolphin. Well, there's a couple of them. There's Cytochara morii, which is the African cichlid with kind of the bigger lips and the blue hump on the head. And then there's like the baby whale kind of dolphinish fish that's basically, my brain's not working. I'm trying to think of the family of fish that, like an elephant nose, but what is that called? The family of fish. Why am I so bad tonight? I gotta look it up. I think it starts with a P, but what am I even trying to think of right now? Baby whale, freshwater fish family? Is it? What is it? Why does my brain not work? No, maybe it's elephant nose. No, I don't know why I can't think of it. Someone will chime in on the chat and I'll be like, yeah, it was that. I'm dumb. Let's see. Any easy plants that don't need fertilizer or CO2? Job ferns working for me, but I could use some variety. Depending on how heavy your bio load is, you might be able to get away with some Anubiases, some Cryptocorns, Amazon Sword, Mormorids. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, but it didn't start with a P. But yes, the Mormorid family. Alex is right. Yes, Mormorids. Let's see here. Since you love talking about YouTube so much, you're definitely an expert. What would you consider to be a good click-through rate? So the people that are doing really well at YouTube are getting 20% and up, at least. Which I'm not even close to that. Not even close. Plug in the brain will work. Yeah, maybe my brain's unplugged. That could be. Yeah, so the Peter Sai, I was mixing up my mind. I was thinking Peter Sai for the elephant nose, and then I was trying to think of like Pormorid, but it's Mormorid. I know. I don't know why my brain couldn't make the leap of. I don't look at wholesale lists very much anymore, so I think I'm starting to lose some of that like responsiveness of like, because it would be sorted under Mormorids, and I'd be like, oh yeah, here's baby whale, here's the, like a double elephant nose, here's a normal elephant nose, here's, the blue whale. The original question was, what was the whale? And so yeah, I would look up one of those too. How old am I? Well, let's see. Let's look at my gray hair here. I'm looking pretty old. I'm only 35 right now, but I get older by the minute. Buy taco sauce if I sold it. Yeah. Thanks. I have cichlids, so I was going to use an algae scrubber to keep nitrates down. I still would probably use pothos or Vallisneria. There's plants in there that I like the look of, but you could use an algae scrubber. I think they're overhyped. Oh, well, not overhyped. I think they're too expensive. That's like, what is it? Whoever makes those algae scrubbers is constantly trying to get me to push their crap. Santa Monica algae scrubbers. Like they're like, what if we brand our own one? I got fed up with them. I go, honestly, I don't believe the average person in the freshwater hobby needs your product. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying that it doesn't have uses, but I don't think on average people need a $300 algae scrubber. That's my opinion. All right. One of my favorite plants for tall tanks. I really like a Pontigeton crispus. So it's funny to watch the trends. We used to sell an insane amount of a Pontigeton crispus when I showed it all the time in my tanks. And now that I don't show it, we sell almost none, even though it's just as crazy cool of a plant. But I like Crinum calamastratum, most of all the Pontigetons. They get nice and tall and lush, Bovinianus, and why can't my brain think of Bovinianus, crispus, Madagascar lace plant, and there's one more. I don't know why my brain can't think of the other one. Probably because I haven't eaten enough today. What are my thoughts on the Shrimp King filter? Which one? Is that the hang on or the little cancer filter, Megan? Is that the one you're talking about? So I haven't used that one yet. It looks like a slightly modified version of the Phoenix canister filter. In my opinion, both of them still have the same flaw, and that is it being a real pain in the butt to get that filter kind of off the back of your tank. It works right when you have like a small tank and you have it sitting next to it, kind of, and it's like decorative, I guess. But I'm not convinced it's better than a normal hang-on back. I'm not convinced it's worse either, but I'm not sure it's better. So if that's what you're talking about, if it's a different one, I'll talk about a different one, but that's the one I'm thinking of. My thoughts on the Fluval new Aquasky versus the Planet 3.0. How new is the new Aquasky? I don't know of a new one. I know at the same time they launched an Aquasky. Did they bring out a 4.0? I know they have the 3.0. If you're talking about the Aquasky 3.0, I think it's clearly just not positioned correctly. I think I think the price to the lighting ratio and some of the little flaws it has, like not having an on and off button, is reason enough to go like either with a lower tier model or a higher tier model. It's like, it's kind of like the car industry. Sometimes they make cars where like, who does this appeal to? Either it appeals here or it appeals here. So, let's see. How many and how often should I feed my Midas earthworms? I don't know how many. That's a hard thing. And how often? Like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. You definitely want to have something that's got decent fiber in it. Let me get back to our. Oh yeah, my chat. What are you thinking? Oh, hold on. Creed More Aquatic says, what are you thinking advertising Cool Ranch Doritos Locos Tacos when I can't buy them from my website? You've provoked my rage. Tell me about it. So the funniest part about this to me is that like you guys totally get the joke, except we literally get emails like that are just that asinine that you're like, are you messing with me? And they're like, no, I'm legitimately pissed. And you're like, are you just messing with me? And then like you actually find out, you're like, wait, this person is actually crazy. They're actually angry that I won't sell them this betta. I won't sell them this arowana. Where'd you get the guppy sign? You're a horrible person for not selling it. It's like, I'm just a hobbyist. I just bought it on eBay. Like, just go buy one. Or they'll be super pissed that they can't buy that neon tetra in a different country. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy one and then ship it to you no matter how much you pay. Like, it's not my business model. Right? And so it's hilarious until you're like answering the emails and then you're like, you assumed you're getting trolled. You cannot, because you cannot believe that they're actually angry about it. You're like, there's no way. But no, people actually get angry. It's crazy. So let's see. Finally, in an apartment where I can have a community tank, small as it is, I have a 30-gallon cycled and plan on adding 10 black emperor tetras and rainbow fish. Any suggestions for which rainbows? So you got emperor tetras. I like dwarf neon rainbows. They look pretty darn good. Those, and you could maybe for a little bit of variation, you could do pygmaeus. I love them. They might be hard for you to track down though. I really like them though. Ooh, what's Aquarium Co-op's best-selling plant? By numbers, it's Vallisneria, and then it's Pogostem and Stellatus octopus. Those are our number 2, or number 1 and number 2. You can also know, like for all my competitors listening right now, items in the categories on the websites are sorted by number of sales. So if you go to like, oh, here's plants, they're automatically sorted by based on sales. I mean, there's some algorithm there based on current trends, and we can monkey with it a little bit. I mean, I can monkey with it a ton, but I don't, because I kind of like it to be a fluid thing. So, just got a reef tank, NanoCube 24, but want to do a planted fish tank. The power head is so powerful. What should I do? Here's what I would do. So it's the NanoCube, right? All right, here's what you're going to do. In the back, so you've got the tube that comes up and feeds into the main port. You need to buy yourself a barbed T fitting. So T as in like a T, barbed on each end. You put that in line. Then you put another little piece of tubing come off the side and put a little valve right there. And you want to bleed off some of that so it stays in that chamber whirling around behind the sump. And then you can control the flow going into the aquarium. That's what I would do. Yeah. Other than just buying a pump. Let's see. I had an Anubias Golden Melt and Die Off. Came with numerous other Anubias and Val at the same time. Is Golden less hardy? I don't think any Anubias is necessarily less hardy than another one. I think it's kind of run-of-the-mill of like, did we damage it taking out a rock wool? Did it get damaged putting it in rock wool? Did it get damaged in shipping? Did it... You know, there's so many little factors going on. I put a lot of effort into trying to figure out what causes Anubias rot. How do we fix it? How do we stop it? How do we... And no one knows the answer. Every farm I've talked to, no one knows the answer yet. We're all trying to figure out, like, what is even causing it? and then we can start trying to figure out how do we stop it. Right now, it's kind of one of those things like, I don't know, it just out of nowhere got a Nubius rod and then did a thing, I guess. You know, so it's a weird thing. If you bought it from us and it melted off, like let's say in the first 2 or 3 weeks, let us know. We'll refund your money or we'll send you out another one. We're not, you know, trying to like, you shouldn't have to necessarily eat the cost on that. So we can take care of you if you got it from us. CC Games. I have J-Barbs. What do you think I should feed them? And do you think I should feed them frozen or prepared? Thanks for recommending them to me. If it was me and I got them into my shop, I'd be trying to feed them frozen baby brine and frozen cyclops. It'll kind of float around the water column for a long time. And then I would get them eating that. And then I might try something called golden pearls. You could look those up. They're neutrally buoyant dry food meant to replicate the action of moving brine shrimp. And then from there, I would try a bunch of different foods. But since I haven't kept that fish, that would be my progression. Frozens. And if they did that, great. If they wouldn't, I'd have to go to live. But once they're on frozen, all right, let's try to get them on to golden pearls. Yeah, obviously, before I ordered like golden pearls, I'd be like, hey, do you like flake food? Oh, turns out you eat flake food, easy mode. But if they weren't, that would be my next progression is to golden pearls. Let's see. Let's challenge me. Easy green dosing, beams work light, CO2 injection, root tabs, 20 ppm nitrates, hard water. Challenge me with a hard plant I could try. A beams work light. Well, I don't want to like make it too hard for you. What about something like Kufea? I forget the first name. It's a super little Kufea. Is it this? Nope, that's a houseplant. Let me look it up so that I can. It's Kufea angoloidea. I'm gonna cut and paste it. I don't even know. Yeah, okay, it is a pretty small one. Just like little oddball plants like that, I think are fun to play around with. I mean, I never like really propagated it. It was kind of like it came in like a freebie, and then you know, like, oh cool, I made a little bit of it. And it's a real pain because the leaves are so small. You got a really bright light, and it's a labor of love of like, oh, that thing's cool. Like, no, I don't need to buy any. I mean, it's not that cool, but it's like, oh, you'll get a lot of like, what is it called again? I don't think I've heard of that plant type of comments of that plant. It's not like mind-bendingly cool, but that's the plant. I put it into chat for you. Kufea angoloidea. So everyone just calls it Kufea though, because the second part's too hard to say. To the horticulturist super nerds, you know, Kufea. Oh yeah, totally know what you're talking about. Yeah. I've had rhizome rot with any new tissue culture of Anubias and Buse when introduced into an all rhizome tank. No idea what's causing it either. See, in theory, like that's a good point, Apocalyptic Potato. In theory, tissue culture plants are 100% sterile. So there should be like nothing going on there. But that is literally an enigma for every scientist, every hobbyist, every plant farm. We're all just going like, I can't explain why it's happening. It's not spreading. It's not like, we can't repeat it. We can't even like make it fail repeatably. Because once you can start making something replicate failure, you can start to understand like, okay, what is it about the failure that is the key here? And then how do I thwart that? So, yeah. Speaking of brackish, is adding salt to fresh water an acceptable way to increase water hardness? Ooh, that's a can of worms. So, typically when we're using a test kit for aquariums, hardness is the measurement of magnesium and calcium. Adding normal table salt would not be either of those, but it would raise like TDS and hardness a bit. Kind of weird. That being said, if you used Epsom salt, which is all magnesium, that would technically raise hardness as well, but maybe not what your fish want. So it's kind of a loose question. Maybe a little bit of marine salt, you get a little bit of all those good things going on, but I don't know that I could specifically say normal like aquarium salt's a good way to raise hardness. And I believe when we're talking about hardness, we're actually talking about hard water minerals that fish want and depend on as a species. Not so much like if your test kit says the water's hard, that doesn't do anything for the fish that needs more calcium. If there's not calcium in there, there's just not calcium type of deal. So, all right. Do I have any experience with nervous pufferfish? Yes. I've had a dwarf puffer alone in a 5-gallon planter tank with lots of hides, almost a year now, but he's always terrified of you. The first thing I would try, Drew, is putting in some tank mates. Get something that won't be terrified. Maybe you throw in like a trio, like a boy and 2 girls, white clouds. See how that goes. A lot of times, well, if they're okay, I'm okay, right? So I would start there and see if it's a social anxiety of like, oh, there's tank mates. I'm okay. I would start there. How to get Monte Carlo to grow as a ground cover? Right now it's growing upward and sending roots into the water column along the stem. So first, make sure you actually have Monte Carlo, because that sounds a little bit like pearlweed. I personally like to keep it in the pot, and then I bury the pot into the substrate so that it's level with the substrate, and then it just grows out from there. If you have the pot or it's a little bit above the substrate, it tends to like just grow and it's reaching for the substrate. It doesn't know where it is. It's kind of like doing this move. And if it's way down, it doesn't know to root down there. If it's like almost lower than the substrate, the minute it starts growing up and out, it finds like the substrate right away and just grows into it. All right. Let's see here. Megan S says, I was talking about the Dennerley corner filter. I've been using it in my 8-gallon tank. Not too happy with it. Do you have any experience with them? We have a little bit of experience with like Jimmy's tank, and a few employees have them. I think it's a maintenance thing. Like you'd want to have, like, do you have the intake guard, the little sponge that helps keep some of the gunk out of there? You definitely got to service it, and especially with the small tanks, like, it's a load versus filtration issue. So if we're like putting a lot of load on that thing, we need to service it a lot. If we can feed cleaner foods like frozen and live food, and we run the intake on there, and we're cleaning that periodically, you know, it's got a lot of little parts. So sometimes investing in like a cleaning brush, like almost like pipettes. A lot of people don't think about that. Like, when you're running a tube, like let's say the output of that thing, the spray bar, you want a little pipette to clean that thing out, because the biofilm that builds up in there, when you take a pipe that's only a 1/2 inch round, you put a little layer of biofilm, it actually reduces flow by a lot. And especially when you get to the point where the water's coming out, like on little spray bars like that, I make it a point at least once every month to take a toothpick and go through every single hole to make sure that I'm freeing up and not putting back pressure on the impeller and that kind of stuff. So kind of the smaller the system, the more attention to detail when it comes to maintaining all the little parts, in my experience. So, you know, I would have to like see your system and play with it specifically to know like, oh, here's where I think we might be running into a little bit of problem. But in general, I'm never thrilled with any small filter. That being said, small tank, you need a small filter, right? So, yeah. Because like you could say like, well, an AquaClear 20 is pretty awesome. It's also a lot bigger and more unsightly than the corner filter. So like, well, yeah. Do I ship live plants to Trinidad? Unfortunately, no. Only in the USA. Do I recommend keeping white clouds in 77 degrees or higher? I recommend lower temperature if you can help it. To create an anaerobic environment for denitrifying bacteria to grow in, you usually have to have extremely limited flow, much less than you get in a normal filter. That statement is true, kind of. Like, you could run really fast flow as long as you use up the oxygen. So like one of the old techniques was make like a 10-foot long 4-inch ABS pipe and run the water through it. And if by the time it got halfway through, the bacteria on the first end had used up all the oxygen, the second end would naturally be devoid of oxygen. Now you can imagine how you could go like 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet. You can make like a, behind your tank, like a 30-foot long zigzag of piping. By a halfway point, for sure, it would run out of oxygen, and so even though the water was flying through there, it would still run out. So but for the most part, yes, that is one of the best ways. Slow down the flow, increase dwell time means you need less surface area to achieve that oxygen devoid environment. So, all right. Having a porous material in your filter will increase surface area, giving great living space for beneficial bacteria. That's also true and not true. What I mean by that is, if you have pores that are so fine that bacteria like forms a slime coat over it, it actually, like, that's one of my biggest beefs with biorings. You can get biorings that are so fine in pores that the bacteria is bigger than the pores and only coats the outside. So it actually has less room to harbor bacteria than maybe a bioball does. So there's a lot of, well, technicalities. That being said, if we're comparing empty space versus any bioring, yes, that bioring will have more surface area. If we're comparing like a coarser bioring to a very fine bioring, in my experience, in actual use, the coarser bioring performs better long term. So, alrighty-roo. I think my dinner's ready. I'm hungry. Hungry! How do I keep... Okay, hold on. Do I keep that wet paper towel stuff around the new plants when you plant them? So the wet paper towel up top, no. And then down low by the roots, what's called rock wool, and you'd want to remove that as well. So ideally, it's bare-rooted plants being planted. Meganessa, it's funny you say that I was using the Aquarium 20. It was pumping too fast for my shrimp. I'm not a fan of the internal filter, I guess. See, that's kind of the problem, Megan, is like, you've got the extremes of like, small filter, totally shrimp safe. I don't like the way it works. Go to the Aquarium 20. Oh, now it's too powerful, you know? So it's like, we're trying to dial it in right in the center for what you want to do with that tank, and it's really difficult. The smaller the ecosystems, the harder it is to dial it in to multiple people's ways of wanting to keep fish or shrimp or something like that. So I think it's, you know, it's kind of a, I want to say it's a no-win situation, but it's not an easy answer. Let's see here. There was a question I wanted to read, and I just lost it. Oh, what plants can be shipped to California? Now, California has some fairly ridiculous regulations when it comes to what's allowed in. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. You'd want to look them up on your own invasive species list. Yeah, it's every state's got some that can't happen. So I do know one for sure. Hydrilla. Not that it's sold in aquariums anyway. I just know they're crazy about hydrilla. Let's see here. Is there a good way to get cherry shrimp to become redder other than selective breeding? For example, can I get good food? You can use a little bit of color enhancing food. Dark substrate also helps. Line breeding also helps. But there's no like magical trick, because otherwise everyone would just do that. But a little bit of color enhancing, making sure they're not super stressed out, darker substrate typically, and line breeding. Those are the ones that you put them all together, boom. Would Easy Green with added potassium help pinholes on plant leaves? Technically, yes. My other question would be, let's make sure that we're not just running out of food in general. So like, I basically, we run, how do I explain this? I run Easy Green on like 1 billion tanks all at the same time, and we pretty much never have pinhole problems and all that kind of stuff when we're basically running RO water out of our tap. Like, it's designed that you shouldn't need to dose anything with Easy Green. That being said, sometimes your tap water has excess, let's say nitrates and phosphates, and then it wouldn't account for missing the potassium there. So there's a little bit, but in general, Easy Green should get it, and maybe you just need to dose more. It's a specific scenario for each one. All right, I heard the door open and close. That either means Jimmy's home or my pizza that got ordered is ready. So I'm gonna eat because my brain's only getting worse And we'll be live on Christmas. There's a video coming out Friday. There's a survey down in the link below. Hopefully you will answer that for me. Join the Aquarium group support. Try and look at things and give your opinion. And look to see if things are facts or if they're just opinions. Remind me to plug in the camera. That I heard that helps run a live stream. I'll think about doing that next time. And not so bad. I think we rallied it. Not that we had anyone that stayed around to watch besides you guys, the super hardcore loyal fans, which I appreciate very much. And it's pizza time. So thank you to everyone that super chatted and hung out even through the darkness. You guys got the podcast experience, which if you didn't know, you should be tuning into that podcast anyway because it's a cool way to listen. If I can find the right buttons, which is unlikely, I will stop this thing. Goodbye, everybody.